If you only knew the power.
Hello everybody, hope you're all very well. You've got me, Ravy, again today. I think my first one of the year. Lee's in meetings this week, yesterday and today, which is why the broadcast is a bit late, a day late. So apologies for that, but I'm doing it today. And as you probably know from previous broadcasts, from Lee and myself, we always try and do something that is kind of off the beaten path in GameGuru, just to get a different angle on what you can do, and also show the obvious things that you can do. Obviously making a first person shooter game where you're running around killing people, or a third person shooter game, or fantasy game, or whatever. We also try and show you that you can do completely different things, like I've covered in the past, the radar, and I think the last one that I did was the survival game, where you, every time you killed an enemy, you dropped food, and your health was constantly going down. So it was kind of a race against time with you killing them and grabbing the food to heal yourself. So the Tarzan is back, he certainly is. So I tried to think of what to do today, something that that's not obvious in GameGuru, or that's not been done before. So I thought we'll make GTA 5, and then I thought maybe not GTA 5 because I've only got 1 hour, not 2, and we're trying to cut it down to half an hour, so I thought probably GTA 5 is too much. So I'll cut that down a little bit to just one little car instead. So I thought I'll do, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a game, there's been many games over the years, but it's been like micro machines and other little cars where you view it from kind of the top and you drive around. I kind of wanted to do that because there's not been any vehicles in GameGuru as yet that you could drive, so I thought I'd have a go at that. And it's not an amazing example, but it is an example just to get your creative juices flowing and show you that you can do different kind of, there is a lot you can do with scripting and some jiggery pokery. So that's what we're going to do today. So first, obviously, I needed to create the car and get that into GameGuru. So let's just have a quick look at that. So here's one I made earlier. This is not a fantastic looking car, but it is vaguely a car. Looks like it's got wheels and things. So I made this in Blender, which is what I like to use because I'm not an artist, but I like to play around, and I find Blender pretty cool because I can't really justify paying money for modelling when I'm useless at it. It's just a bit of fun for me, so I use Blender. I quite like it, and I think Blender was kind of made by artists who were programmers and wanted a programmy, artisty way of doing things. So it's very shortcut key and all that kind of stuff, but it's a bit different, it's a bit wacky compared to the other stuff, but once you get used to it, it's pretty good. So I like it. So I made this car, and which is essentially was a couple of cylinders, and then just did a bit of beveling. And then this was a cube that just extended and shrunk some bits down, and did a few little tricks here just to get the window sills in. And then I did mirror model, so I just modelled half of it, so I'd flip the other half over. And then again, because I'm not an artist, I didn't want to spend hours making a texture that looked awful, so I just used the built-in Blender materials and just added a few colours that I wanted and painted those on. So I just assign them, so you can select different. If we go to face mode, you can select different faces, and then you can pick a material and then just assign it, and it will just change the colour. So that's all well and good, but obviously for a game engine these are just colours and not really textures. They're just materials in a 3D package. So I wanted to get that into GameGuru without me having to paint the texture. So thankfully there is a way, there is a nifty way of getting that as a texture easily in Blender. So I'll show you how I did that, because it's quite a handy tip. So just close that one down and open number 2. So number 2, I've smoothed it off. I've made some smoothing groups so we can see some definite sides to things, the top and the front bit and the wheels. Smoothing groups are really easy in Blender. You can just select a couple of polygons again and just press Y and it will just make that hard edge. All it does is to just double up on the vertices so the polygons are not joined really. So it just gives you a nice hard edge. So I've got that, I've joined everything together, which was Control J, so I selected all the objects, Control J, but then I've still got the problem that we've got all these materials and that's not of any use in a game engine. So what I do next is highlight the whole thing, then I'll go to unwrap and I'll do, because I don't need it to be fantastically unwrapped because I'm not going to manually paint it, I just did an unwrap smart UV, so I'll just do that and then it unwraps it. So if we have a look at what it's produced, let's unwrap the whole model and there it is. So I need to get those colours from that model onto a texture. So what I'll do is just create a new texture here. So can't remember how to do that now actually. So image, I think new or something, there we go, new, and 1024, just go for 2048. Oops. My number pad sets off my jingles, so you can't use my number pad while I'm broadcasting. And I never ever remember that. Don't need alpha, so get rid of that. So there we've got our texture now, which is looking fairly grim because it's just black. So I'll head back to the main thing. So now how do we get this? Because obviously if we render it, it's just going to render it onto the screen and we'll get a 3D view. So just to show you quickly, I've added a couple of things in because one thing that we can benefit from is if we are going to render on this in Blender, we can add things like ambient occlusion. So we can, if we can transfer all this to a texture, we could have the ambient occlusion built in, which is really cool. So Milo likes Blender, excellent. What your style? Me too. So I've got ambient occlusion ticked. I'm using environment lighting as well because I want the ambient occlusion to really show up. So I'm using multiply with it, which will be very harsh. So I've added environment lighting as well, which softens it out a bit. So I'm just cutting down the samples just so we can just see a quick render of this amazing car. So there it is, amazing car, really cool. But obviously it's not attached to the texture yet. So we'll just go to the last save that I did, which is Little Car 3. So there you can see that, and you can see there's just one material there now. But if I put it on texture mode, there's no texture there. I think because I moved it. If we go back to UV editing, yeah, I've moved it off now for the demo, so yeah, I won't be able to show you that. But that was exciting, wasn't it? So we'll go back to 2, and I'll show you how to do it. So we've got all the materials on the car. So now we just want to do something called bake. So we want to bake those colours and the ambient occlusion and all that into that texture that we've just set up. So let's just go back to that texture and make sure the UVs are still there. Oops. So there we go, there's our UVs. We'll make a new image. We'll set it to 2048 again. Right, so there we go. And now we're going to bake it onto that texture. So if we go back into the default view and go to camera, and rather than render, we're going to bake. So it's as simple as pressing this. We're going to bake mode full render.